How does consciousness actually work within us? What exactly is consciousness? And how do we have a conscious experience? In this video, let us go deep and let us uncover the answers to all these questions. We will also understand what is the hard problem of consciousness, why it is difficult for scientists and researchers to go to the roots of the nature of consciousness to explain what it actually is. So let us truly uncover the nature of reality here, and also let us look at what Swami Vivekananda had to say about the nature of consciousness. The Adhvaitha channel is about consciousness, conscious living and conscious creation. Here we explore Vedanta and various other ancient teachings from India to understand the nature of reality and to consciously create our lives. First, let us look at the hard problem of consciousness and let's understand what this problem actually is. In the philosophy of mind, the hard problem of consciousness is to explain why and how humans and other organisms have qualia, phenomenal consciousness or subjective experience. It is contrasted with the easy problems of explaining why and how physical systems give a human being the ability to discriminate, to integrate information and to perform behavioral functions such as watching, listening, speaking, etc. And this term, the hard problem of consciousness, was termed by the philosopher David Chalmers. Here, the problem is with qualia or subjective experience. Now, what exactly is qualia? Let us look at it. The term qualia derives from Latin, which means of what kind. Now, for some of you, all this might sound a little complicated, but it is actually very simple. The hard problem of consciousness is simply about qualia or subjective experience. Now, we all have subjective experiences all the time. We have a subjective experience when we drink tea or when we taste a fruit or when we experience different things in this world. Now, why does this subjective experience occur and how exactly does it occur? What part of the brain is responsible for this and how at all do we have this conscious experience? From where is this consciousness coming from? This is the problem of consciousness. This is what scientists and researchers are not able to figure out. But the answers are already there. In the ancient Upanishads and in the Adhvaitha Vedanta, the nature of reality and the nature of consciousness has been explained for thousands and thousands of years. So let us go deep into this teaching and let us understand the nature of consciousness here. And before we do that, let us look at an example. The example of a light source and a tinted glass. Now imagine there is a source of light and there is pure white light that is being emitted from that source. And this light passes through a tinted glass, let's say a red colored tinted glass. Now on the other side of the glass, we can see that the same white light is being manifested as a red light. Now what happens if the white light passes through a broken glass or a cracked glass? Now the light which manifests outside of that broken glass will also be distorted in some way. Now what happens when the same white light passes through a textured glass? Outside of it, the same light will appear to be scattered, will appear to be distorted. The nature of the manifested light is dependent upon the nature of the glass through which it passes. All the while, the light itself remains untouched. The light itself is unaffected by the glass through which it travels through and by the distortions. The nature of the distorted light is similar to the nature of the original light. It only appears to be distorted from our perspective. Now, why are we talking about this? This is very significant to understand. This is how the ancient Vedanta explains the nature of consciousness. According to Vedanta, there is no hard problem of consciousness. The hard problem, if at all exists, is the hard problem of matter, is the problem of what this universe actually is. The science still cannot explain the creation of the universe. Noble laureates are now saying that time-space reality itself may not be fundamental. Some scientists are saying gravitational force may not be fundamental. And quantum physics is saying 99.99% of all matter is nothing. And what matter is energy at the fundamental level. But what does Vedanta say about the nature of reality? Advaita Vedanta has an entirely different view on the nature of reality. Now look at your own experience. Forget about all these questions, forget about consciousness, forget about matter, and forget about everything, and just simply be aware of your own experience. How are you experiencing things? How are you living your life? Everything that happens to you happens within your awareness. All the things that you experience outside and all the things that you perceive from the external world ultimately is being witnessed and is being experienced within yourself. So what Vedanta says is that consciousness is the fundamental essence of this reality. In fact, consciousness is within which the universe itself has appeared. And that consciousness is who we truly are in our essence. And the entire universe is being witnessed in our consciousness. So the matter, the world, the universe, everything is appearing in consciousness. And as per the nature of our mind, that consciousness is manifesting as a different kind of a person. Just like the pure white light, when it passes through a red glass, manifests as red light, that pure consciousness, through the filter of your mind, it is being channeled and it is being manifest as a different kind of a person. So here we need to understand the difference between Chit and Chidabhasa, the pure consciousness and the reflected or channeled consciousness. Now if we look at that example again, the pure white light is the pure consciousness, and the light which comes out of the red glass, which appears to be red, is the reflected consciousness or channeled consciousness. Now what Vedanta says is that we in our essence are that infinite pure consciousness, and that infinite pure consciousness is being channeled through the ego, through the mind, and is being manifest as the channeled consciousness through which we are experiencing the world right now. And all the experiences that we go through is through this channeled consciousness, is through this reflected consciousness. I call channeled consciousness as awareness and the infinite pure consciousness as consciousness. So that consciousness through the mind becomes awareness through which we experience this world. So this is how we need to understand the nature of consciousness. But this awareness, since it is being manifest through the reflection of the mind, it thinks that it itself is the source of this awareness. It thinks that this body-mind complex itself is the source of this awareness. Whereas the source is something very different. In our essence, we are not material in nature. We are spiritual in nature. This is the secret that we must uncover for ourselves. And through spiritual practices, through Vedantic studies and through meditation, what we are essentially doing is simply we are cleaning the filter of the mind. We are simply cleaning the glass through which the pure light is being channeled. And as we clean the glass more and more, imagine what happens. Once the glass is clear from all the colors, from all the textures, it becomes a pure transparent glass. And this transparent glass channels the pure light as it is, without any distortions. So this process of cleaning our mind and cleansing our system is what we call the spiritual seeking. Whether we do it through devotion or karma yoga or jnana yoga or through raja yoga, all we are doing is simply we are cleansing the mind. We are cleansing our system so that that infinite consciousness which we are in our essence becomes available to us and it becomes evident to us. In the second section, let us understand this reality. Now, what is reality? What reality actually is? Now, we all have different definitions of reality. The way an animal perceives this world is very different from how we perceive this world. Within human beings, Someone who is colorblind perceives this world totally differently. And someone who is more sensitive to colors and sound will perceive this world again differently. What does this tell us? This tells us that the sensory inputs that we have are not perfect, whereas the reality itself is perfect. Vedanta calls this universe, this reality, this existence as Purnam, that which is the absolute infinite. So, this existence is an absolute infinite. This existence exists in infinite variations, in infinite number of ways, and in infinite manifestations right here, right now, in this very moment. But based on the nature of our filter and based on the nature of our sense organs and based on where we are at right now, we perceive this reality in a certain way. So basically, our perception of this reality is incomplete. It is not ultimately real. This is because we are perceiving this reality through the filter of the sensory inputs and our mind. And our sense organs and our mind is extremely limited compared to the vastness of this existence. And because of the limitation of the mind, we are experiencing a limited reality. And most of us think that this limited reality that we are perceiving itself as the absolute truth. This is the error. And this is Maya. So basically, to sum it all up, this existence is an absolute infinite. And we can call this absolute infinite as consciousness. So consciousness is the essence of this reality. And everything in its essence is consciousness. And even us in our essence is this infinite consciousness. But right now, because of the identification that we have with our body-mind complex and because of our ego, we think that we are this limited beings. And this is why we are unable to experience our infinitude. And now in section 3, let us look at what Swami Vivekananda has to say when it comes to this very topic. Now here I am reading from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, and in volume 5, there is a question that a disciple asks Swamiji. The disciple asks, if I am Brahman, if I am the infinite consciousness, why don't I always realize it? Why don't I always experience this? Now this is an obvious question. This is an important question that all of us will come to at some point. If we are that infinite consciousness in our essence, then why don't we experience it right now? To this, Swamiji gives a very deep answer. And before we go to that answer, I will read a little bit from the volume 1 of Swami Vivekananda's works from chapter 7, which is Dhyana and Samadhi. Here, Swamiji is talking about the difference between the conscious mind and the unconscious levels of the mind. My consciousness of this table and of your presence makes me know that the table and you are here. At the same time, there is a very great part of my existence of which I am not conscious. All the different organs inside the body, different parts of the brain, nobody is conscious of these. When I eat food, I do it consciously. When I assimilate it, I do it unconsciously. When the food is manufactured into blood, it is done unconsciously. When out of the blood, all the different parts of my body are strengthened, it is done unconsciously. And yet, it is I who am doing all this. There cannot be 20 people in this one body. So here, what we need to understand is simply that there are different levels of consciousness that we experience. On the surface level, there is the ego, there is the conscious mind through which you are experiencing this video right now. But then there are deeper layers of consciousness which are functioning within you right now. For example, the food that you have consumed is being digested within your system. And the consciousness that you are again is responsible for this, but you don't have control over it or you are not conscious of it right now. So what Vivekananda is pointing to here is that there are different levels of which we are not aware of. Just like this, at the deepest level, we are that infinite consciousness, but our conscious mind or our ego right now is not fully aware of it. Now coming to the answer for the question the disciple asked, Swamiji will go on to say, in order to attain that realization in the conscious plane, some instrumentality is required. The mind is that instrument in us, but it is a non-intelligent substance. It only appears to be intelligent through the light of the Atman behind. Therefore, it is certain that you won't be able to know the Atman, the essence of intelligence, through the mind. You have to go beyond the mind. You are already that. Only the intervention of a non-intelligent mind, which is called Maya in the scriptures, is hiding that knowledge. When the mind composed of subtle matter is quelled, the Atman is effulgent by its own radiance. One proof of the fact that Maya or mind is an illusion is that the mind by itself is non-intelligent and of the nature of darkness. And it is the light of the Atman behind that makes it appear as intelligent. When you will understand this, the mind will merge into the unbroken ocean of intelligence. Then you will realize, I am Atma Brahma. This Atman is Brahman. So this is how Swami Vivekananda explains the nature of consciousness and how we can access it. All you have to know right now is that you in your essence is that infinite consciousness. But because of our identification with the ego, our conscious mind is simply not aware of it yet. And because of this ignorance or unawareness, we are experiencing suffering and we are experiencing the limitations of our body-mind complex. All we have to do is disidentify and reconnect with our true essence. And this is the takeaway for today. If you are interested to join our community of like-minded individuals who are on this journey of conscious living, conscious creation, and the exploration of consciousness together, then you can join our community cum learning platform that we call the Adhvaitha Conscious Society. The link will be in the description. Thank you. And if you want to understand consciousness in greater detail, you can check out this video that we did on the Upanishad. If you liked the video, check out this next and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you and welcome to our community.